Quick disclaimer, this video is entirely satire. There is, as far as I know, no actual Gunpla speedrunning community, and out of all the ways to build a Gundam, some would argue that speed is probably the least desired way to build them. So with that out of the way, I hope you enjoyed the video. Every Sunday, I build Gunpla on my Twitch stream, and during my last online Gunpla order, I, on a whim, decided to grab a couple entry-grade Grandpa Gundams just because I'd never actually built these ones before. Now, I love entry grades as like an excellent starting point for new Gunpla builders, however, for my skill level, they're a little bit basic. So to mix things up a little, I decided I would take these and become the fastest Gunpla builder of all time. Now, a cursory Google search of Gundam build fast, Gundam speedrun, Gunpla build fast speedrun, any of those terms netted almost no results, so I could only assume that by doing this at all, it automatically makes me the #1 speedrunner, but I decided to go ahead and give it a couple of attempts and actually try to make it as fast as I possibly could. My first run was my very first time ever seeing the entry grade, first time seeing the instruction manual, first time seeing how many runners there were, everything like that. So as far as I'm concerned, this very first run was kind of like a pace car for what my personal best will try to beat in subsequent runs. So I took my live split overlay, divided it into a few sections in the order of how it's built in the instruction manual, and just got to building. Now, the first thing I noticed almost immediately, and for those of you who are familiar with entry-grade Gunpla kits are probably already aware of, is you don't actually need the nippers to cut any of these parts out. The entry-grade kits are designed to be used without tools. So it became much faster to just punch the pieces out with my fingers as fast as I possibly could. There was one other major time save I picked up during this first run, and it's while typically when you're building Gunpla there are so many parts that you really have to take the time to look at which runner and which number on the runner it is, and then kind of identify which piece, because there's a lot that looks similar. However, with the entry grade kits, everything is so simple that very few parts actually look like each other, which means it's way faster to just identify the parts by the shape they have instead of by the actual runner number on them. Now, while the rest of the run is fairly standard from this point on, I do want to mention that since it's speedrunning, we have to have a speedrunning category. This one in particular I'm calling the entry grade Grandpa Gundam 100% snap build, which I guess just means that we put every single part on the runners together and we don't need to worry about panel lining or painting or anything like that. And with that, I eventually clock in my first run at a little over 15 minutes. Not a great time, but it's fairly slow. There's a lot of not knowing which pieces go where, which way to rotate things, and it's a lot of stuff that mostly minute kind of optimizations and better knowledge of these kits is really gonna improve my future runs. And speaking of future runs, I of course picked up a second one of these entry grades so that I could actually put everything I learned from the first one and try to get a really fast time for the second run. As the first run starts, it's immediately apparent how much just knowing where all of these pieces fit together and where they are on the runners makes for excellent time saves throughout the entire run. My head split of this run was absolutely incredible. I saved almost a minute over my first run, which is really great, and it almost all comes down to just knowing which pieces go where and in which direction. The body split of this run also gave quite a huge time save, leaving me at almost a minute and a half ahead of my first run. However, it was a little bit slow. I had a difficult time with a couple of the pieces, trying to figure out whether I was putting them in upside down or not, and I ended up losing a few seconds. However, the arms is where I really fumbled. The downside to going so fast is there's no way to really take the time and make sure that you're putting the pieces together correctly. The arms in particular are almost symmetric. There are little notches for the front and the back of the arm to help identify, but most importantly, the elbow kind of rotates both ways, so I was really confused for a little bit there on whether I had it on the right direction or not. Ended up having to rotate the hands and the shoulders around a bit just to make sure it fits on right, and unfortunately, I gained almost no time over my original run. However, coming right off of the not great arm split, I did manage to save some more time on the waist. The advantage here is there are, I don't know, maybe 7 pieces to go through here, so even though it's a very short split, if you're fast and can get all the pieces out right away, you can actually manage to save quite a bit of time. And now these last two splits are where you really start to save a lot of time. The legs in particular are my least favorite part of any Gunpla kit. However, building it the second time, I knew exactly what pieces I needed and where to put them, and it was just optimization out the ass. I managed to save nearly a minute and a half over my first run just by pure optimizations. It also helps that there aren't that many pieces left, so you can't really choose any wrong ones. It's pretty much all of the white pieces left are probably going to be for the legs at this point. And that segues into the final split, which is also very short, but I managed to save a lot of time by using probably the best piece of tech in this entire speedrunning category, which is just doing away with the manual. Once you're down to the last 6 or 7 pieces that you need for the weapons, you can just put them together. The beam rifle is really easy to tell which pieces go there, and the same for the shield. So if you just do away with the manual, you don't even have to double check, then you save a ton of time just building it. And with that, I finally keep the Grandpa Gundam upright and managed to clock in just under 11 minutes. Honestly, a pretty good run, but I think I can get sub 10. That's gonna be my goal for the future. Anyway, thanks for watching this stupid video.